Thanks for meeting me today to talk about NUUN. And I think we'll start with just you introducing yourself.
Yeah, for sure. I'm Ashley, and I am the senior content manager at NUUN. So I've worked here for 2 years now, joined the marketing team in 2017. And it's been a wild and crazy ride with NUUN. It's been lots of fun. The company has been changing and growing a lot, even in the 2 years that I've been here. And on the content side, I get to translate that growth sort of over to the consumer and, make the brand a lot more interactive and fun and have a lot more content out in the world that our consumers are able to work with and connect with the brand on.
So by content, what do you mean? Are you talking like social media,
Yeah.
blogs, vlogs, what?
Additionally, it is like the blog space and social media and making sure that like everything is consistent. But we've done a lot to consumer because our customers are the best in the world. I've never met a more loyal group of customers that just like try NUUN and they're bought in and they want to do everything they can to talk about the brand. So a lot of what I'm able to do from a content side is to help to create that content for them to have those conversations, whether it's in their communities or their own social networks. So a lot of what we do, the content team here, is not just creating content for the brand. So NUUN, speaking about NUUN, it's for our ambassador network or influencers to also go out and talk about NUUN. They're just looking for ways, clever little stories and ways to talk about the way that they consume NUUN and the way it fits into their life. And, our content team does a great job of coming up with ways to facilitate those conversations.
Excellent. What is the Ambassador Network?
Ambassador Network is a group of 5,000 of the best humans in the US and Canada. Every December, we open up applications for our ambassador program. And basically what this means is you drink NUUN, you're a lover of movement, and we apply in December, and then we let people know in January whether or not they were accepted to the program. We've done a really good job of taking this from just being like a digital relationship between a brand and consumers to making it a real life experience for these people. This year we rolled out a sub-program that's our captains program. So we have captains in regions across the US and Canada that can actually activate in real life with communities. So they have people meet up, they have a group workout, they go out for happy hour together. And the point of the ambassador program is to connect people who are like-minded and love this stuff, love movement, whatever that means for them, and get them, in a common place, and so they can connect on that. And I think that the ambassador program this year has totally taken off in that we've been able to facilitate more of those in real life meetups. And those translate to online connections as well. So that whole program has been super exciting for us. Another example is like we sponsor Seawees, which is the Lululemon Half Marathon Festival up in Vancouver. And we have a meetup. So any of our ambassadors who are participating or competing in that half marathon, a lot of people from all over the country, both the US and Canada, travel to these big races. And you get there and it's sort of like you create a home away from home for a few days for a race like that. But we really try to make sure that there are meetups and hubs for anybody who's a NUUN ambassador to really feel like there's a home for them when they get there. So we'll be at Seawees, we'll be throwing a party afterwards to celebrate everyone who crossed that finish line. And that's just a small example of what we do with the Ambassador Network.
That's cool. So I noticed on your website that you have a stat, most people are dehydrated, 75% in fact. I think it's higher than that. I think that's a conservative estimate. So why is hydration important, and why can't people just drink just plain water?
Great question. Hydration is, if we were to strip it all down and like rebuild baseline needs for what you need in the day-to-day to live a happy and healthy life, hydration is there top of the list, up with food and oxygen, right? So from a baseline as humans, we need to stay hydrated. And NUUN has done a really good job of figuring out how to optimize that entire process. So water ultimately hydrates you. Yes, what we want is, all of that getting in your bloodstream and getting that oxygen to your heart and all of your organs. But the best way to describe it would be, picture water being this really slippery substance, and it's so easy to put it down and it just flushes right through you. So it is very, very possible to drink a lot of water and then, it doesn't get absorbed into your system. So electrolytes, the best way for me to describe it really quickly is that it makes the water sticky and it clings to your system and it absorbs really well right into your bloodstream. Electrolytes are great for that. You also lose electrolytes when you're working out and you sweat. So we need to replenish those when we're out moving and sweating. So NUUN kind of plays both of those roles for optimal absorption of water, but also that replenishment of the minerals that you need.
Yes, that's a great point, especially when people are sweating hard and exercising, especially the long duration stuff where they're losing lots of electrolytes.
Yeah, totally. One of the most common things we see, especially in elite athlete level that are just performing at super high competitive level, if they're not consuming enough electrolytes, their muscles are going to cramp up on course, particularly for running or cycling or triathlon. You can see it. You see some of those nightmare finish line videos where people are just like crumbling and can't even get past the finish line. They're just crawling there. But having enough electrolytes in your water and in your system will help to support all of the physiological systems that keep your muscles strong and moving and prevent cramping.
Yes, and it can help performance too. So it's not just about preventing dehydration, but which is important for performance, but the electrolytes are really important for performance as well. So people can put more into their workouts, which lets them get more out of the workout, which is huge.
Totally. Yeah.
So I noticed on your website that you have different formulas. So I think we just probably talked about the exercise formula for endurance and sport.
Yep.
And I saw there's an immune formula on there too. So what's that about?
Yeah. So what we were talking about NUUN Sport is NUUN's flagship product to be used during exercise. We really, in the past couple of years, have considered the athlete holistically. And so all of our products are built for the athlete first, but they're really for anybody who considers movement an integral part of their life. So, we're humans, we all get sick in the winter. We also respond to these workouts that we put our bodies through. So a normal human response to a tough workout is inflammation. Also, your immune system can take a hit if you've gone out for a long run in the cold for 3 hours, for instance. So NUUN Immunity was designed to keep your immune system strong and supported. It's also full of anti-inflammatories, which is great post-workout to just go in and help with that inflammation that happens naturally after a really, really hard workout. So it's great for athletes. It's also great for anybody who's flying, anybody who works in healthcare or the school systems when, viruses and flus are going around. It's just great to have on hand to keep yourself protected.
I love it. And then you talked a little bit about recovery, and I saw there was a relax and recover tab. So what's that formula about?
Yeah, totally. So NUUN Rest is our newest product. And so the way to think about NUUN Rest is that sort of if we're talking about those baseline of needs again, sleep is so, so important. And I think we're seeing more and more of that in the industry. There's more conversation about how important sleep actually is. And without being super educated about it, sometimes you have good sleep, sometimes you have bad sleep, and it's kind of tough to tell, what was the difference? It felt like the same thing. So much is happening in your body, especially if you're an athlete and you've been putting it through training, where your head might be ready for sleep, but your body is not. Your body is still really tense. You still got a little bit of adrenaline running through. On the flip side, sometimes your body is totally ready for sleep and your mind is racing and it just won't let you fall into that deep sleep that you know that you need. So NUUN Rest was designed to help the entire body sort of decompress, the muscles to relax and get into that sleep state. And so once your body relaxes, that sends the signal up to your brain that, all right, we're ready to start to shut the systems down and get into that deep sleep state. So NUUN Rest was designed to do exactly that. It's not designed to put you to sleep. It is designed to prepare your body and your mind to fully relax, and so you get the most out of your sleep.
Yeah. Quality sleep.
Yeah, definitely.
Huge. And then vitamins. There's a vitamin formula. What's that one about?
So vitamins is, it's built with 11 of the most underconsumed vitamins and minerals in our everyday diet. So while it is chock full of vitamins and minerals, it's not meant to be your multivitamin daily. It is meant to top off multivitamins. So what you might not get through food, what you might not get through your supplement. This is meant to be something that you're drinking. I'm actually drinking it right now. To drink throughout the day also helps with that absorption, like we talked about with the water. It's designed with the same electrolyte profile. So drinking this first water is going to get me more bang for my buck when I'm drinking fluids. It's tasty. It's got that vitamins top off. So it's really good to drink in between workouts, or if you have a rest day where you don't need a ton of electrolytes, but you need enough to be able to absorb that water into your system.
That's great. And another thing that would, because we're talking about absorption here, and most people are dehydrated, like we've already talked about.
Yeah.
And the problem with hydration is when people are dehydrated, their body has learned that it has to extract water from food. So then what happens is, when their body is thirsty, it confuses the hunger and thirst mechanism, and it tells you that it's hungry because it's saying, hey, I know how to extract water from food, so here, go eat, you're hungry, go eat more food so I can get the water out of it. And people don't realize that once they're hydrated and their thirst mechanism starts working right, they're eating less because it's dialed in. People come to me all the time after I have gotten them on a good hydration strategy and say, what the heck? I'm thirsty all the time now. I'm drinking all this water and I'm thirsty all the time. And I go, congratulations. Now your hunger mechanism and thirst mechanisms are both dialed in and working properly. And your body's actually telling you when you need water, because now it realizes it can get its hydration from water, not from food. And having said that, there's also people who I call them our stubborn hydrators, where their body has been so long dehydrated that even if they do drink more water, it's still really hard. It's still slippery, like you said before, and they need something sticky. And this would really help with that, because instead of the water just sliding through and the body not grabbing onto it, your product has nutrients and electrolytes in there that make it sticky, and the cells say, hey, I want that as it's going by, so it can't slide through. It comes out into the cells along the way, and that's what you're describing as sticky, which is huge.
Isn't it crazy how smart the body is and how it'll just acclimate to whatever it is you're putting in it? So that thirst and hunger mechanism, that's real. And our bodies will find any way to sort of extrapolate what they need from the nutrients that we are providing it. But it is, it's always smart to get your body into those good flows, those good systems. And so it knows to expect this rather than trying to pull, hydration from something that isn't really equipped to provide it.
Yeah. So this is how your product can be a really powerful fat loss product for people to reduce their hunger mechanism.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I love it. And I also love how you mentioned movement, because a lot of other companies are kind of targeting us like runners or CrossFitters or a certain small segment of the population, whereas movement is a great way to put it, because then yoga, Pilates, xgym, CrossFit, runners, bikers, all those people that need hydration, we all do, whether we're exercising or not. We need to be properly hydrated, but especially if we're exercising, because of the prevention of dehydration and the problems that go along with that, but also performance, for speed, performance, putting more into the workout, all that stuff. So good choice of words on movement. I love that.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest things that I would say has been this evolution of the company. Since we got started, our company mission at this point today is inspire more movement. Everyone who works at NUUN, everyone who has worked with NUUN, our partners, our ambassadors, our influencers, really recognize the value of movement integrated into your lifestyle. We truly believe that a life lived with movement is happier and healthier. Truly believe that. And while we are a hydration company, we also are a movement company by way of hydration. We believe that fueling your body and hydrating your body properly inspires people to get out feeling better, moving better, and ultimately to live a happier and healthier life. And that ultimately is what we want for more and more people across the world. So it starts here, but it really culminates into something much bigger than that.
Yeah, that is so huge. And what I think a lot of people don't realize is that hydration and movement are also two of the most powerful anti-aging strategies. Movement is actually number one. They used to think nutrition, hydration was number one, but they flip-flopped. Movement, exercise now is number one. Number two is hydration. Number three is good nutrition. But you're kind of killing two birds with one stone here, because you're helping with the hydration, but also because of what's in your product, you're helping with the nutrition too.
Yeah, that's the hope. Even if somebody just loves the taste of NUUN and it helps them to drink more water than they were drinking otherwise, big win. Big win. Yeah. Staying hydrated is so important. But if they do end up becoming inspired and taking that next step and pursuing that yoga class that they've been putting off, or signing up for that half marathon that they've been thinking about, that's the best. And that's ultimately where we want all of our consumers to get to. But if this is as far as you get, we're psyched.
Yeah, I love that. And the other thing I like about NUUN is it tastes good, because there's a lot of really gross products out there that I just can't stand. But one of the things that I run across with my clients is their resistance to water, because it's just plain. It's tasteless, it's boring, and they need, especially certain brain types, really need more of a sensation type of experience. And they just don't get that with water. So it's hard to talk them into drinking water, but with your product, it's an easy thing, because it does really taste good.
Yeah, and on top of that, for those who aren't familiar, NUUN comes in tablet form, and you drop it in water and it dissolves. So it's also effervescent. So it's flavorful and effervescent, which makes it just fun to drink. Effervescents also help with that absorption that we were talking about. So the team on the R&D side has done such a good job of creating a product that is tasty but also functional, and balancing those two things, so that we are not building a product that is just about taste but at the expense of what we're putting in our body. There's really this fine balance of both of those things to make it an enjoyable experience in the now and in the long run.
Yeah, I love it. So we've talked a little bit about the history of the company, and especially recent history with the movement thing. So how did you guys get started, and what's been the evolution along the way?
The genesis of NUUN was pre-NUUN. There was not a product where electrolytes were separated from carbohydrates. So it was sort of like the all-in-one sugar drink that you should drink before you play sports, you go out and play soccer, whatever, which is, especially sort of troublesome with youth sport. So NUUN was the first product to say, all right, let's separate these two things. And so you're really dialing in on what your body needs, because when you're working out in particular, carbohydrates are important, but loading up on them in the form of sugars in your drink is likely not the way to go. That'll lead to stomach rot. That'll lead to just feeling really, not optimal while you're out on the field or out on the course. So that's where NUUN got started. And for a while, the product was totally sugar-free, using things like stevia and alternative sugars. As research has proven, a little bit of sugar actually does help with absorption. So we have reintroduced sugar in really natural forms. We're not using artificial sugars at all to the formula to help with absorption. 1 gram of sugar is just enough for that absorption to happen and to make the product, taste really nice in the meantime. It's sweet, it's tart, but it's never going to be too sweet for you. It's exactly what your body needs and wants.
So it's still low sugar, but it's helping, it's augmenting the absorption a little bit more. And that's great that your company has evolved in that way. And it sounds like you guys are doing a lot of research to try to keep up on that.
Yeah, definitely. Tons of research in that space. And, I say that about our tablet product. We recently reintroduced a product into the market called NUUN Endurance, and this is meant for our long distance athletes. So anybody who's out there working out or sweating for more than 90 minutes or going out for really intense interval training. NUUN Endurance is actually formulated with more sugar because as your body endures long-term sweat and exercise, its physiological needs change and you actually start to need more of those carbohydrates. And so we introduced NUUN Endurance, which is highly researched, to your point, to optimize what the athlete needs, the speed of that sweat and mineral loss, and how do you replenish it. That does have more sugar simply because, our bodies need it at that point. And when you are out for your long run or your long ride, you can tell when you are consuming it, like, this is exactly what my body is craving right now, and it's getting everything it needs. So while that one is formulated with more sugar, we still have done a lot of research to figure out what is that threshold between what you need and what is sort of extra and just floating around in your system. We've also sourced those sugars from multiple sources, and so they're being absorbed through different pathways, and you're not overloading one absorption pathway in your body. We're sort of utilizing multiple absorption pathways, and so your body can keep working really efficiently when you need it to on those long workouts.
Excellent. As opposed to that big company that starts with a G, with their full sugar version where it's just a sugar drink. I mean, it's great for hummingbirds, but for people, not so much.
Yeah, no amount of high sugar is good for anyone, whether it's in the form of a candy bar, if you go to the movies, or if it's in a sports nutrition drink. In fact, that's probably the point that you want to avoid it the very most. You need your body working on sort of firing on all cylinders and working hard for you when you're putting it through that level of stress. And so giving your body what it needs in terms of carbohydrates, absolutely, but you definitely don't want to be overloading it.
Right. So I think we may have already answered this question about how does your company keep up with change. Research is probably the biggest part of that answer. But is there anything else to add on that? Because things are changing so fast in the world of fitness and exercise physiology and health science, nutrition science, and all that.
Well, 2 things. One, hydration can be as complicated as you want to make it. Our hydration scientists probably would say it's a lot more complicated than I would, but baseline figuring out that electrolyte profile and the balance of minerals that are needed for that absorption, playing with, the basics and the simplicity of hydration, that's sort of where we live. Always looking to further optimize and optimize, but not making humongous changes all at once, because we really do believe we've got something good here. And making a drastic change probably wouldn't be in line with, the right next step for the product or the consumer. So changes do happen over time. We've actually reintroduced formulations of our product 3 times in the last 5 to 6 years. But each of those make these small incremental changes. Hey, research has proved that, maybe this sugar source is better, or perhaps we're dropping monk fruit from our sweetener profile in terms of dissolve rate and what your body needs, little things along the way. But I also think that in general, dealing with change has a lot to do with being in the present moment, because change is sort of a culmination of looking at everything over a spectrum of time. That's where change happens. But if you really are dialed in on the now and what is everybody craving, what does everybody need right now, what are we doing right now, change doesn't seem as drastic if you're a little bit more present in the now. And I think NUUN is really, really good at being present with its consumer, present in its research, and with each other as a company.
That's great that you're present with your consumer, because it's great to get feedback and from the employees and your ambassador network. And I'm sure you're tapping into all those people for feedback to further improve the product.
Definitely, all the time. Especially with our ambassador network. We've built this level of trust between them and with us. They can come to us if they've had some sort of weird experience or they've got some feedback, and they know that we listen as a brand. On the flip side, we're able to sort of like pre-launch things with them or ask them questions about their experience. And it's a great small army of people to have that level of trust with, that they're able to provide that feedback that's useful to us, and then it can go the other way around as well.
Yeah. So now tell me why you joined NUUN.
Yeah, so I have been using NUUN for years. I'm a long distance runner, and I had looked for a hydration solution that didn't make me feel slogged down, didn't give me that stomach rot. So I was pretty bought into the product before I even started working here. But just because you like the product doesn't mean you're going to like the company, right? So when I came in and met the team here, I really think that there is so much more than selling electrolyte tablets, which is essentially what we do here. And some companies can get really, really weighed down on the bottom line and, what it is you're trying to push through the systems. I think that NUUN believes in something bigger and something more. And every single person in this building and out in the field, because half of our team is out in the field, believe in the power of movement. That is something that is so important to me as an individual, and it's infectious when you walk in this building. If you're a guest of NUUN and you ever come to HQ, you better believe you're probably going to be doing squats or sit-ups or push-ups with the group or going on a group run. It's just sort of our way of expressing love to each other. And I would say what's kept me around is like, that's totally my love language, right? Like, let's go on a run together. Let's do something really challenging together. And the bonds that you form with people that you do those types of things with, it's like unmatched, like your best running buddy or your best cycling buddy. Imagine working with 65 of those. And that's what we've got here at NUUN with the team. And it's the most special team I've ever been a part of.
Wow, that is so cool. And that reminds me that I saw the word tribe on your website, and that sounds like that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, we also refer to the tribe as the NUUNiverse, because it really does feel like you're in some sort of alternate universe when you get into that space and you're connecting with other ambassadors, you're connecting with other lovers of NUUN. You can really geek out on what it is that like makes you tick. And it's crazy that it's this beverage that brings everybody together. But, I think we found a way to pull together like-minded people. And it does feel like a community. It truly does. I've never known consumers of a product or of a brand that come together so much around it. Even friends of mine who aren't athletes get really jazzed when they see that other people are using NUUN. They're like, oh, I love that stuff. And, people immediately start to talk about it, and it forms this connection. At the end of the day, it's an electrolyte mineral tablet, and it's crazy that it's forming these sorts of connections. So yeah, in that way, it sort of has become this tribe across the globe.
Yeah, that is so cool. I noticed also on your website there's a link for bundles. What does that mean? Is that getting several products together?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So for a while, we do sell each of our products on an individual level, but, we're following consumer trends. We're listening to our ambassadors and our consumers in general, and we're pointing back to, if you are a lover of immunity, you're very likely a lover of vitamins. So let's put together a bundle where you can get all of those things at a slightly discounted price. A good example of a bundle that is currently on our website is called the Work Hard, Rest Hard bundle. This is designed specifically for the long distance endurance athlete. If you are going out for long rides or long runs, your body needs that level of hydration that NUUN Endurance can provide. Ultimately, if you're going out for those long rides or runs, it also needs really quality sleep and rest. So we bundled together NUUN Endurance and NUUN Rest for that long distance endurance athlete, to be able to optimize their performance, but also their sleep performance. And so they can wake up the next day and do it again.
I love it. And then I noticed a pop-up, really cool pop-up on your website to get 10% off if you sign up for the newsletter, which is a great discount. But what's the newsletter about?
Yeah, the newsletter is a great way to find out what's going on with NUUN. So we've got an events team, we've got the ambassador team, we've got influencers, we've got really exciting content on its way out. So now's a great time to join the newsletter. And this is sort of an easy, slow drip way to keep in touch with what's happening at NUUN. We've got a lot happening in the next 12 months here in terms of consumer opportunities to connect with the brand, product launches, and this is the place where you can go and sort of learn everything, and likely at a rate that's a little bit before our everyday sort of like social media following. If you've connected with the newsletter, you'll be sort of first in the know, right behind our ambassadors who always get the news first. But that's a great place to keep in touch with the brand if it's something that means that much to you.
Yeah. So you're in a lot of stores, and how has that grown over the years, and where's your biggest market?
Well, the online industry, has definitely taken over, but we've got multiple partners, and our sales team. I would say the way I describe our sales team is they're like a group of like your best friends ever. So they're charismatic, fun group. We are present at all of those big trade shows, Expo West, Expo East, and the NUUN booth has always got this buzz around it. We're doing workouts on the hour, every hour, getting people moving, making connections through it, and constantly expanding that retail reach across the country, and especially across Canada as well right now. So yeah, more and more growing. We are starting to reach, as we've shifted to inspiring more movement, that has opened up pathways beyond sports specialty for us, where you were very likely, a decade ago to find NUUN in like your local mom and pop run shop, because that's who was bought in, the people who were super bought into movement. And now you'll find us more at like bigger name retail grocers like Safeways or Whole Foods. You'll see us on shelf there, because I think there's sort of a cultural shift in the importance of movement. And people are looking for those supplements that can help to support that lifestyle in their everyday grocery aisle. So we're there. But we've also started to create these other product lines like immunity, like vitamins, that aren't so specific to long-term or hard sweat. It's more of a lifestyle product. So you are finding us on shelf in quite a few places nowadays.
Great. And then my biggest question, why NUUN? Why is it spelled that way, and where did that name come from?
So NUUN stands for Nutrition Uncompromised. So NUUN.
Okay.
That is still to this day probably the biggest barrier in terms of just like brand awareness is a lot of people still pronounce it none. But the more that we can be doing to spread the word about the pronunciation of the product, the better. But we've just built so much equity in this funny little brand with this funny little name that we're not going anywhere with it. But yeah, that's what it stands for.
Great. Well, thank you so much. It's been very informative, a lot of fun. It's good talking with you. And I would love you to send me the links of your social media so I can put them in the description at the bottom down below in the video.
Yeah, you bet. I'll send you our Strava, which is one of our most unique social medias. Not every brand has that. And we're quickly building that. That's a place where we are really facilitating that movement community. So we're psyched about the build of Strava and the partnership we have with them.
Wow, I didn't know about that. So it's like
yeah, you got to join the Strava club. We've been doing a lot in terms of like, sorry, a quick aside for you, a quick story. If you click into the tribe section of our website, athletes, we are actually aggregating the movement data from our Strava club. So every single day, if you are running, if you are cycling, if you are swimming, we are tracking the amount of hours that our Strava athletes are putting in to Strava and aggregating it on our website. And so if you put in 5 miles, you're going to see an update of 5 miles within the week on the website. And it's incredible. It's incredible to watch how much movement our community is building all together. And it's also a good reminder, if you have to go out for a 3-hour run, that can be a big mental toll. But knowing that you're a part of something a lot bigger and there are people all across the country that are doing the same thing, contributing to the same stats, that makes a big difference. So check out that part of the website and join the Strava Club.
I will. Yeah, that is so cool. Well, thanks, Ashley. This has been a blast. Great information, and just love your company. So keep doing what you're doing and helping people get healthier and hydrated and move more and get younger and younger every year.
Thanks, DJ.
I love it. Okay. Bye-bye.